Welcome to our channel, The English Story Companion. Today, we will be listening to a fantabulous crime thriller audio story, Shadow. Today, we will dive into the first part of the story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. Let's begin.
Mr. Rohan was taking a sip of his morning coffee when the phone rang. He looked at the phone and picked the call in aversion. Before he could say hello to his correspondent, a scared voice stammered fastly, "Sir, Mr. Baxi has been found dead at the outskirts of the city. Someone has slit his throat severely." This news stopped Rohan from sipping his morning coffee anymore. He regretted his previous decision. He instructed his colleague not to touch the body till he reached there and investigated the place thoroughly. Mr. Rohan, the newly appointed inspector of Ratlam Police Station, was a man of 32 years, young and experienced. He had solved many mystery cases. Because of this reputation, the government transferred him to this area. After joining here, he also realized the immense burden of maintaining law and order in this historical city. It appeared to him as a slaughterhouse. He received information about the killing of more than 10 persons in a week. He had been warned about the place. But his pride and desire for fame prevented him from declining the offer. He joined here only a week ago. 2 days ago, Mr. Baxi came to visit him. He was a 63-years-old established businessman of the city. After greeting Mr. Rohan, Mr. Baxi said, "Sir, I'm Ramchandra Baxi. I am a businessman and my business mostly includes precious stones and jewels. I export these merchandise to Hong Kong. I never witnessed anything unusual in carrying on my work, but for a few days I have been troubled by an unusual sight repeatedly." Mr. Rohan understood that Mr. Baxi grew a bit impatient. He ordered the office bearer to bring 2 cold water bottles for them. Though Mr. Baxi hadn't asked for it, on arrival he took 1 bottle and drank it at once. Then again he started narrating his case. "I initially thought that maybe someone was aiming to steal a few precious stones from my warehouse. I even instructed my guards to be vigilant. They also didn't find anything strange. But yesterday one of them told me that he had seen one masked man with arms following my car when I left the warehouse for home." Mr. Rohan was listening to the narration very attentively. Now he stirred a little. He looked at Mr. Baxi very carefully and tried to understand his exasperation. He interrupted the flow. He said, "Did any of them see the face of that man?" Mr. Baxi replied, "No, they only saw him with a gun while he was following me on his bike." "Were they confident that the man was carrying a gun?" asked Rohan. "Yes, they saw him clearly, but they couldn't recognize him because of the mask," Baxi responded. Mr. Baxi requested, "Sir, I think I'm in danger. I need protection. If I need to, I'll talk to the magistrate also." Rohan tried to persuade him normally. He said, "I understand your concern, Mr. Baxi, but arranging police protection for one individual is burdensome and it can exacerbate your problem. Please try to understand the implications, Mr. Baxi." Although it was hard for Rohan to convince Mr. Baxi, at last he persuaded him and assured him of police support in times of need. It hadn't been 3 days since it did happen. Rohan lamented the horrific demise of Mr. Baxi. He reached at the spot of the crime and inspected the surrounding area very carefully with a hope of finding any clues. He stared at the body. His entire body shivered at the brutality of the scene. The area was completely covered with blood stains. Rohan mustered courage to look at the slitted spot. He was horrified. He instructed his junior officer to send the body for post-mortem. Soon after, he started a thorough scrutiny of the place. The soil was quite wet at the place as it was a riverbank, and in that wet soil 3 pairs of footsteps were clearly visible. Rohan returned to the station. He soon realized that he hadn't informed Mr. Baxi's family about this brutal tragedy. He didn't waste time. With 2 constables and his driver, he reached Mr. Baxi's house at 11 past 1. The house was a large one with a modern look and had a sophisticated appearance. He rang the doorbell and was waiting outside. Suddenly he overheard a whispering. He didn't do anything that could cause a disruption in that low conversation. 2 minutes later, the gate was opened by an elderly woman of 60 or a little more. He looked at the woman. At the same time, the woman was also scrutinizing him from his toe to head. Curiously, the woman asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" "I haven't seen you in this locality before." Rohan maintained his composure while these questions were thrown at him. It was normal that a policeman not in uniform wouldn't be believed as a policeman. He didn't introduce himself to the woman and inquired directly, "Is this Mr. Baxi's house?" "Yes," the woman replied. Rohan, in a serious tone, said, "I'm sorry to say that Mr. Baxi has been murdered. We have sent the body for post-mortem." The woman looked at him in astonishment. She replied furiously, "What rubbish! Do you know what you are saying, you idiot?" Rohan felt a bit humiliated. He said quite assertively, "Ma'am, behave yourself. I'm a police officer. I have come here to inform you about the death of Mr. Baxi, who has been found with a slitted throat at the outskirts of the city." This time the woman narrowed her eyes and again looked at Rohan very attentively, then she burst out laughing. This unexpected and unnatural reaction on hearing the murder of a family member shocked Rohan. He thought that in all probability the woman was mad. While the woman continued laughing, he entered the house. But what he saw puzzled him so terribly that he could not believe his own eyes. He saw that Mr. Baxi was sitting with 3 people, 1 girl and 2 boys, and he was even gossiping with them. Rohan became paralyzed at the scene. He thought of this as a dream, but he was brought back to real life by a warm welcome. Mr. Baxi greeted him politely. He said, "Oh, Mr. Rohan, we're sorry for making you wait outside. Come and sit here, sir. Actually, my sons and daughter are here. They arrived here last night from California. Come and join us." Rohan was undoubtedly in a state of astonishment. He couldn't digest this surprise. He stammered, "Mr. Ba'a, Azai, do you have any identical twin brothers?" Mr. Baxi laughed hysterically at the question. He replied with a smile, "You are very funny, Mr. Rohan. It was a nice joke." Rohan did not stay there longer. He returned to his quarter and went to bed immediately. He thought that to solve this strange puzzle he needed to use his brain. His brain would work assiduously only after a deep nap. He didn't say anything to anyone. Lying on the bed, he didn't feel any comfort. The strange and mysterious murder case had puzzled him. His instincts were completely non-functional for the first time in his career. He attempted to calm himself down. He recalled the chronology of the events. When Mr. Baxi came to him seeking police protection, what he said to him, how he got the information about the murder, and what he had seen when he had gone to inform Mr. Baxi's family, he grew emotionally hostile. He whispered, "In my entire career I have never been in a case like this. This unusual and strange case needs meticulous attention and precision of investigation. I will use all my capabilities to solve the puzzle." This self-assuring commitment boosted his morale and confidence. It was 6 o'clock in the evening, winter season, and the murder, that was why the place was understandably deserted. He reached the murder spot with his driver. He began his investigation thoroughly, not leaving even a rotten leaf. Suddenly his left hand touched something. It was an earthen pot but quite heavy. He called his driver and both pulled it out from a ditch. Rohan gave a curious glance at the pot. His driver was also very surprised. Rohan thought that it would be prudent to open it. To know the wish of his driver, he asked him, "What do you think, Srinivas? Should we open it or take it to the office?" Srinivas looked eagerly at him. He replied, "Sir, I think it would be better if we open it now." Rohan was also thinking about the same. They both attempted to open the pot. Meanwhile they noticed a stirring at a distance not far from their place. They had turned off lights when discussing the matter. On sensing movements nearby, Srinivas started looking for the torch light, but Rohan instructed him to be quiet. Rohan and Srinivas surreptitiously took the pot behind a bush and sat there stealthily. From there they saw 2 men coming out from the dense canopy. In the darkness it was hard to identify them, but it was apparent that they draped blankets on their entire body. Even their faces were also covered with mufflers. Their murmurs became more clear and audible, which indicated that we were proceeding hurriedly. Rohan couldn't understand their topics for conversation, but only something he understood very clearly. He heard one of them saying, "Do you know the spot? We shouldn't have come today." The other person replied, "I marked the spot. Don't be afraid, nothing will happen." Rohan realized that one of the men was an old man while the other was an adult. Rohan comprehended that they were talking about the pot. One thing that both Rohan and Srinivas did cleverly was that they erased their footsteps while bringing the pot behind the bush. Those men reached the spot and desperately dug the ground but found nothing, and the younger one was frowning at the elder one. Even after searching the spot bit by bit for more than 1 hour, they found nothing. The frustration reached the peak. Rohan thought that it was the proper time to jump on them, but soon he saw the younger person pointed his gun at the elder one and immediately pulled the trigger. The man died instantly. Rohan didn't do anything because his gun was in the car. And he couldn't defeat a man with a gun. Soon after shooting the man, the younger one ran away from the spot. Srinivas was in a hurry to come out and to see the dead man, but Rohan stopped him. Rohan sensed that someone was tricking them to entrap them. After nearly another 30 minutes they saw that the younger man came out of the canopy and made a chirping noise. Soon the dead man stood up and walked away together. Srinivas was stunned. He couldn't even utter a word. He thanked Rohan for saving his life. Rohan and Srinivas waited there a little longer. They observed their surroundings with keen attention. At the moment when they both were convinced that the area was clear, they carried the earthen pot to their vehicle on the main street. Rohan looked at Srinivas, who was still in awe because he couldn't come out of the tremendous shock he had experienced at the investigation spot. It was the first time he faced a threat to his life. Rohan perceived it well. He even could guess Srinivas' heartbeats. Srinivas was quite nervous. It took him time to start the car with a trembling hand. Rohan told him. Srinivas calmed down. Do your work attentively. Srinivas felt a little embarrassed. He started the car and drove his superior officer to the quarter. They reached the station at approximately 10 o'clock. Rohan immediately carried the pot in his room. Actually, both Srinivas and Rohan suppressed their curiosity up to this time, but not any longer. Once inside the room, they didn't change their midi and dirty clothes. At first they attempted hurriedly to open the pot. Although the pot was made of fine soil, they didn't risk breaking it with a single dash. They cautiously proceeded to open the lid. After 5 minutes of intense efforts, they successfully opened the lid. They had hoped for something different, but inside the pot they found a long red ribbon, scissors, some medium-sized basalt stone, 2 syringes, some barks of a tree, and more than half of the pot was filled with one type of very fine powder. Srinivas wanted to sniff it, considering it as drugs, but Rohan prevented him. Rohan told him to wait till morning. Rohan woke up early in the morning. After finishing his morning tasks, he prepared a cup of coffee for himself. Actually, he was married, but his wife stayed with his family in the village. He had one cook who cooked for him, but evidently Rohan loved to prepare a cup of coffee for himself in the morning. He sat on a chair at the veranda of his room. It was pleasant weather but very risky and dangerous. Mists reduced the visibility to a very dangerous level. In this situation, a little inattention would cause a terrible accident. The first sip of today's morning coffee popped up an ingenious idea in his mind. He thought that he would go to Mr. Baxy's house and would interrogate his family members. He was convinced from there only he could get some clues to solve this mystery. At 7 o'clock Srinivas arrived at the police station. Upon reaching, he immediately went to meet Rohan. He entered the room and saw that Rohan was busy looking at things found in the pot very attentively. On seeing Srinivas standing beside him, Rohan said, "Mr. Srinivas, we should visit Mr. Baxy's house now. Be ready." Srinivas wanted to check and analyze the discovered things, but he couldn't dare to ignore that instruction. He replied, "Sir, I am ready." Mr. Baxy's house was only a 15 minutes driving distance from the police station. They reached the house, and while standing at the door before ringing the doorbell, Rohan looked at Srinivas. Srinivas parked the car and soon accompanied his superior officer. Srinivas rang the doorbell and waited patiently. That same old lady opened the door, but one thing was quite noticeable, that an unusual gloom covered her face this time. She asked, "Yes, Inspector, do you have anything to do here? My health is not well today, so please." Before she could finish, the inspector interrupted her. "I have come here to search your house and to interrogate you all regarding the death of a man resembling Mr. Baxy." The woman showed some symptoms of irritation. She appeared a little nervous on hearing this. Suspicion of Mr. Rohan grew manifold. He forcibly entered the house despite the woman's repeated claim, "None is in the house."